So let's just be honest, because way too many Instagram growth advice videos are not. Growing on Instagram is freaking hard. It is hard work. There are no shortcuts. Honestly, sometimes it can feel like within the Instagram app itself, there are hardly any ways to get noticed and to start to grow a following. So that's why in this video, me and my friend Marissa are going to share with you 3 ways that you can start to generate some organic growth on your Instagram through using other social media platforms. Honestly, this is my ultimate tip for those of you that are feeling frustrated with Instagram growth, because I promise you, this is going to give you the boost that you need. And so the secret strategy that I want to share with you is this. One of the most effective ways to start growing on Instagram when you're just starting out is by generating traffic to your Instagram through external sites. I know it might sound super simple, or maybe just like an extra amount of work when your real goal is just to grow on Instagram, but let me tell you why this works. This is my theory. Any good social media strategy needs to come in 2 parts. I believe you need to be targeting both timely content and evergreen content. So what do I mean by this? Timely platforms are ones like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. These are newsfeed based platforms where people are mostly consuming content that's been published in the previous 24 hours. Meanwhile, evergreen platforms like YouTube, podcasting, blogging, Pinterest, and even TikTok are places where people are consuming content that's been created over who knows when, the past number of weeks, months, years, whatever. It's not based in news feeds that show you mostly content from the past 24 hours. It's showing you content that is relevant to you, either through search or machine learning algorithms. And so my strategy is you should be creating content for at least one of each of these kinds of platforms. So maybe you have a Instagram and a YouTube channel, like me, or maybe you have LinkedIn and a podcast. Whatever it is, I think it's important that you create content for both these different kinds of platforms because they serve different purposes. Timely platforms are really great at connecting with your audience on a really personal level, showing up for them every single day and making sure that you're always front of mind. Meanwhile, evergreen platforms are the powerhouse when it comes to actually growing your audience and generating new leads. Here's the thing, on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, it is pretty hard to find new potential followers. For the most part, people go on these platforms to see content from people who they are already following. Meanwhile, most people go on YouTube or TikTok, or they search for podcasts or blog posts from people that they might not already know. They're just looking for content that is relevant to them at that time. People go on YouTube and they enter questions into the search bar and try to find answers. And so it is really important that you have one of these platforms that are based in evergreen content, because it's going to be so much easier for you to generate new potential followers. All of this being said, Instagram is still obviously an incredibly important platform to be on because it creates that really personal one-to-one connection with your audience. But if you're looking to grow more quickly on Instagram, then signing up for one of these evergreen platforms is a really great way to do it because it's going to help you generate new leads. And so that's exactly what me and Marissa are going to tell you about today. For this first one, I'm excited to introduce you to my friend and YouTube and online income expert, Marissa Romero. Welcome, Marissa.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Katie. On my channel name is Marissa Romero. What you can expect are things about making money online, starting a profitable business online from scratch. I talk about passive income, YouTube marketing and growth.
So first, let's dive in. I'm curious because you're clearly a pro on YouTube. What is your advice for somebody who is thinking about starting a YouTube channel to help augment the growth of their Instagram or other social platforms, but they've never even thought about starting before? What's your advice for a total beginner?
Yes, so it's hard to narrow it down to like a few things because I want to say so many. But if I had to,
yeah, totally.
If I had to break it down into a couple things you would consider is one, your niche. YouTube is really great at directing traffic to your channel really fast if you know what you're talking about. So it's really great to know what your niche is, because then you'll be able to do keyword research so much faster, because YouTube is a search engine, second biggest search engine to Google. So therefore, like, the more you use keywords in the beginning of growing your channel, the faster you're going to grow, like hands down for sure. And the other thing too is, if you haven't figured this out yet for your brand, I would definitely consider like what your brand is about, because branding is a really important thing of the channel. Like it's something that it's going to carry not only like through your YouTube channel, but also your Instagram. But for example, like the banner, the thumbnails, those all have to speak to your brand. And it needs to be congruent, you know, with who you are and what you represent. So I would say what you don't need to start your channel, you don't need a fancy camera. You don't need this super duper expensive studio and, you know, all this stuff that people think they need. You really just, you know, you need a smartphone. You know, a good microphone would be good, but that's it. You just need natural lighting from a window and you're good to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I think people often feel really intimidated because it seems like you need all this fancy equipment to get started on YouTube, but you can really just start with the basics. So my next question is, for somebody who is looking to use YouTube as a way to drive traffic to their Instagram, what are some of the most effective ways that you can actually get those viewers over to Instagram? So you've got some views on your YouTube videos, you're seeing that growth. How do you actually translate that into Instagram growth then?
When you get an external source like a YouTube channel or a blog to really hit, your Instagram will grow fast. I mean, it will. I see so many followers from my YouTube channel to Instagram because they want to connect with you more. So my advice would be definitely let them know every single video to follow your Instagram. Tell them why it would benefit them. You know, the other day somebody asked me on my channel, like, well, how can we get to know you more? We want to know more about your experiences, your personal life, and blah. I was like, well, follow my Instagram, you know, because Instagram is a lot of behind the scenes. It's a lot of personal stuff. It's stuff that's not edited and super, like, well, besides like the photos and images, but I'm talking about like the YouTube stories, the IGTVs. Those things are more raw and a different kind of connection than your YouTube channel, because your audience on your Instagram is different than your audience on your YouTube. They're treated the same. So I would say the most important things would definitely just make sure you give that call to action for them to follow you on Instagram, and give them, you know, a couple of good reasons why. Like, for example, on my Instagram, I tell people on YouTube, come follow me on Instagram, because on every Tuesday, I give my Tube Tuesday talks, which is my advice about business and YouTube. So that's what I would say.
I think that is a really great point. And another thing I would add to that is, I think that if you are really making it clear to your audience that you are open to engagement on Instagram, they're going to be more likely to want to come over and chat with you there. So in a lot of my videos, I will directly say, like, hey, I will reply to your DMs. Like, I would love to hear from you. Send me a message. Let's chat. And I think that direct call to action lets people know, like, I actually will talk with you. And to everybody watching, I will come and chat with you if you send me a DM, because I genuinely want to get to know you and how I can help you. So I think that a lot of times when people hear, like, oh, follow me on Instagram or whatever, it kind of feels like this, like, almost rhetorical question, like it doesn't need a response. But if you're very, like, explicit, like, no, I actually do want to get to know you and, like, talk with you, then people will be more likely to reach out.
Absolutely. That's such a great point. Yeah.
The next way that you can start to direct traffic to your Instagram is by using Pinterest.
I'm a complete beginner with Pinterest. I'm not active on it, and I just hear so much about how great of an opportunity it is traffic wise, but more importantly to automate some content creation.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Like, YouTube is obviously so labor intensive because of all of, like, the video creation and the editing. But the nice thing about Pinterest is that if you do work on it for a while, eventually it can become pretty automated. So I've got a couple tips that I would suggest to anybody thinking about using Pinterest as a way to drive traffic to their Instagram and eventually get more followers. So one big thing that you can do that actually doesn't add much work at all is just simply pinning your actual Instagram photos to Pinterest boards. So that's a direct link to your Instagram profile, and especially if you're really focused on beautiful photography or really value-packed graphics or maybe quotes or whatever it might be, pin that to Pinterest, because people will come across it in whatever different board you categorize it under, especially if you pin it to group boards. That can help increase your reach. And then people are going to be interested in it and click on it, and they'll end up right on your Instagram where they'll be able to hit the follow button. So that's a really great and low effort way to start generating some traffic to your Instagram, and it doesn't require that you make any extra content.
So you can just pin or take a post from your Instagram feed and repost it to Pinterest.
Yeah, totally. So the way I do this is just like opening up my Instagram profile on my computer, so like the desktop version of Instagram. And then because I already have like the pin it button installed in like my Google Chrome as an extension, if I hover over the image, the little pin it button will show up, and then I can just click on that and it will like pretty much do everything for me.
I'm thinking about starting now that I know that I could repurpose Instagram content.
Totally. It is so easy to do. And another thing, like if you're ready to kind of go to the next level after you've just been pinning your Instagram content directly to Pinterest, is you can kind of create like Pinterest graphics for your Instagram content. So many of us, like we spend hours working on our Instagram content. We write these really long captions. We create like infographics and carousel posts that really provide a lot of value and information. So it pretty much is like a blog post. So in the same way that we all used to create pin graphics for our blog posts back in like, 2014 or whatever, you can create a pin graphic for your Instagram post so that you can drive traffic to what is essentially like a little blog post that has information. The third platform that we want to talk to you about today is TikTok, everybody's favorite new obsession. Marissa, are you on TikTok?
I technically am. I have only one video, but I've been doing a lot of studying on the platform before I really put my whole effort into it. But I think the virality of it is something that cannot be overlooked. And I think that although demographically there are a lot of young people and business owners like us are like, oh my God, everyone's dancing and, morphing into Spider-Man and stuff. Like, it's kind of intimidating, but I'm so convinced that it's very, not easy, but it's just as easy for us who are more like education oriented to go viral on the platform and to drive some serious traffic to other channels. So
I totally agree. I think that the crazy thing about TikTok is just how quickly you can grow. And I will say, I do think that like followers on TikTok are maybe worth less than followers on Instagram, just because of the way TikTok works. Like, people don't tend to only see content from people they're following. They see it on their For You page, which is exactly why it's so easy to go viral. But so for instance, I did an experiment a couple weeks ago where I tried to like get TikTok famous in 7 days, and I ended up being able to grow my account by 1,000 followers in that time. Now that's not like TikTok
days?
Famous. Yeah,
Wow.
in a week. So it's not famous by any means, but it's definitely way faster than I grow on Instagram.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I find it very intriguing because of that. So I'm curious, through your research and your sort of strategizing around TikTok, what are your plans for making TikTok a part of your strategy, especially for driving traffic to your Instagram?
Yeah, well, I think the key point is to realize when you're starting TikTok, I know it's intimidating at first because you're like, okay, it's a learning curve for the algorithm and a learning curve for learning how to edit the videos. But that's one thing I love about TikTok is you don't have to edit videos outside of TikTok. Like, when I found out, like, wait, you can just create videos in TikTok, like, I was not going to take up like gigabytes of space in my memory drive. So I think that's amazing. Two, I think it's just a great thing to repurpose those videos for Instagram stories, for YouTube stories, because when you reach 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, you could have YouTube stories just like Instagram. So it's important. It was important for me to evaluate like how worth it was. But I think that with them being 15-second videos on a Sunday, when I film a YouTube video, I'll bang out, 4 videos for TikTok for the week or something like that. And I think it's just the opportunity to let loose, is because when I'm on my YouTube channel, I'm like so uptight and like perfect script and blah and effects and all this jazz. But with TikTok, it's like I could dance if I want. I could like
Yes.
act stupid on my balcony. I can like be goofy. I can be like my inner self, like when I'm talking to friends, you know? So that is one thing that I love about the platform and getting started. And again, it's simplicity in the app. People want to know, they don't want super professional graphic effects. They don't want perfect. They just want the raw you, right? So that's a big plus in my mind for going to TikTok. And the other thing is just making things funny. Like, so there's so many, for example, like YouTube myths and online business myths and so many fears that people have when getting started. And what some of my plans are just kind of like mocking what those myths are. Like, you know, passive income. People think passive income just rains from the sky. So if I made a TikTok, like, you know, mocking that, like, hey, I'm making passive income with no effort, and there's just like money around me, I think that would be funny. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think the awesome thing about TikTok is that you really can just fully be yourself and have fun and not worry about being overly professional or polished. And I actually think if you are too professional and polished on TikTok, they don't perform as well because people are really looking for that authenticity. So it's a really great opportunity to just let loose and kind of make whatever you want. And the really great thing about directing traffic to your Instagram from TikTok is that not only do you have this awesome opportunity to really get that viral video on TikTok and get a ton of eyes on your content, but inside TikTok, you can add 2 links to your bio. So you can have like an Instagram link and a YouTube link. And when people click on that link, it will actually open up the Instagram app. So unlike inside Instagram, where if you click on a link in somebody's bio, it'll open up a web browser inside Instagram, so you won't be like logged into YouTube or any of those other platforms. Inside TikTok, if you click on an Instagram link, it will actually open up the Instagram app, which means your potential follower is now logged in, and it's super easy for them to just tap follow and start following you on Instagram. So it's really cool for that too.
That's okay. Does it do that for YouTube as well?
Yes, so it'll open up the YouTube app or the Instagram app.
That's powerful. That's really powerful.
So whether you decide to start creating content for YouTube, Pinterest, or TikTok, I really want to encourage you to really start developing that content strategy on an evergreen platform, because it's going to really help you overall with your growth in terms of your business and your Instagram as well. Once you get into the groove of making content like this, you'll start to find that your followers really grow on autopilot. All the time, I get messages from people telling me they found me through Pinterest or TikTok or YouTube, and now they're following me on Instagram. And the same thing will happen to you if you start implementing these strategies. Thank you again, Marissa, for coming over on my channel to do this video. Do you want to let everybody know the video that we filmed for your channel?
Yes. So on my channel where I host Katie, we're talking about 4 legit ways to make money online for your online business and passive income streams. So definitely come on over to the channel and we're going to talk about these strategies.
Now that you've learned how these platforms work, we've got a ton more awesome advice over on Marissa's channel where we're talking about how you can start generating income through these online platforms. So make sure you go watch that video next. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you over on Marissa's channel. Bye.